Hi there. A few of you newer viewers have asked me about my story on how I was able to lose 200 pounds. Well, the truth is, my story isn't just about losing 200 pounds, it's about how I gained 200 pounds in a pretty short period of time and then lost 200 pounds. So let me walk you through my story. Most of my life, I was pretty medium towards slim, and I was able to keep my weight, but I always had an eating problem. I always, from a very young age, realized how good it felt to just sneak a little piece of mom's pie or to give everybody ice cream and have like 3 or 4 spoonfuls before I was serving everyone. Come back, grab some more bowls for everyone, have 3 or 4 spoonfuls, go back, come back, make my own bowl, have 3 or 4 spoonfuls, then eat my own bowl. And if I was doing the dishes, guess what? I had more. And this wasn't a problem for me because I was a kid and I could get away with it. But as I grew, I realized I liked binging. I didn't call it binging. I just realized I liked having this time where I could just kind of, cozy into the food and feel good. And I became conscious that my weight was going up a little bit. So I started to develop really drastic measures to not gain weight. When I was 14, I had to be hospitalized because I was purging myself and I had headaches all the time and I was weak and I was faint, and I would either starve myself or I would take laxatives, and I harmed my body. So after coming out of the hospital, my parents were on me like a hawk about my eating. There was no starving myself anymore. There was no taking anything to try to lose weight. At that time, I was a healthy weight and I kept that healthy weight. But when I got married, and my marriage wasn't an easy marriage at all, but I comforted myself with food. And that was my coping mechanism all of my life. But this time nobody had control of me. So if I had a binge, I would just not eat for 3 days, or I would eat very little for 3 days. And that worked for me. It worked very well for me. I just didn't bother to eat. I'd starve myself so that I could lose the weight I gained. Life went on like that for a really long time. And I remember when my overeating problem started with this gaining of 200 pounds. I'd gone out for a coffee with a friend. We both ordered a custard tart and a coffee. And the next time we went, I ordered 2 custard tarts and a coffee. She ordered one. The next time we went, I ordered 2 custard tarts and a coffee. And we left separately. And I pretended I was getting in my car. Then when she left, I got back out of my car, went into the store, and ordered a dozen custard tarts. Now, the problem with that is, by the time I was home, a dozen had turned into 6. And I got home and I said, guys, I got custard tarts for you. 6 quickly went down to 4 because I had to have 2 more because that was my share. And then, as they didn't eat them as the day went on, I had 2 more. Who does that? I thought to myself, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? I really battled indulging myself with custard tarts for a really long time. That was my thing. That and ice cream. Ice cream has always been my weakness. And so I would go from day to day and starve myself, binge, starve myself, binge, starve myself, binge, over and over again. It was just such a nasty cycle. And I started to get really depressed because I realized I really didn't have a lot of control of this at all. Then a really hard time hit me when I was in my early 50s. I had a breakup that was pretty nasty, and it was a fairly long relationship. And then when COVID hit, my best friend died. And I was very, very close to him. I'd known him since childhood. And I just got this I don't give a crap anymore attitude. And I ate to feel better because that's what I'd always done. But I ate And I ate and I ate some more, and I didn't stop. Every day I ate and ate and ate, and I stopped starving myself in between. I stopped giving a crap. I stopped believing that I didn't need to do that anymore. And the weight started to come on. My usual 150 quickly ballooned up to 170, which became 190, which became 230, which became 270, which became 340, which became 350 pounds within maybe a 2-year period of time. That's a lot of weight to gain in 2 years. A lot of weight. But I gained it, and I was really upset with myself. And here's the really tough part about gaining weight. If you're like me, you isolate yourself. I was so ashamed of having gained that weight. It felt like, what is wrong with me? Nobody else in the world does this. How come I can't have control? How come I can't make things work? What is wrong with me? And I was so upset with myself, and thought there was something mentally wrong with me, and I thought there was something that needed to change inside me that maybe could be fixed with pills, or maybe could be fixed with psychiatric therapy. I didn't know, but I just knew that I wasn't handling life right. But the more I realized I wasn't handling life right, the more I would eat. It just was crazy. I just kept eating. And then my daughter in May of 2022 gave birth to two beautiful baby girls. They are so precious. They're 2.5 now. And I was huge. I'll put pictures in. Huge, huge, huge. My body was out to here, literally. My arms were massive. My everything was massive. Everything. But those babies, they didn't see a fat person. They just saw Nana who loved them. And my identity had become my weight. I believed people looked at me and all they would see is, oh, fat Easter. And I believed when I looked in the mirror that I was fat Easter. I had given up any hope of feeling anything different than that. And those babies were just so precious, and they'd smile and their faces would light up when they looked at me, and I would sing to them, and I'd do little dances, and I'd rock them, and I'd walk with them, and I'd walk around the house with them. I'd put them to sleep. It was my heart's delight to have them. And my daughter kept saying to me, Mom, you should try the keto diet. And I tried it. Mom, you should try intermittent fasting. And I tried it. Mom, you should whatever. I tried a whole bunch of things. They didn't work for me. It's not that those diets are not good, but diets don't work for me because they're finite. They have a beginning and an end. You start, and when you lose your weight, you don't continue it. Maybe some people do. I'm not judging anyone because I'm not against either of those methods of losing weight. I know they work because they were working for me, but I just didn't get the do it forever kind of thing. And I would give up at some point, and it didn't hold fast for me because I didn't like not being able to eat for, what was it, 12 hours a day, 16 hours. I wanted to eat. I was eating massive amounts of food. I was having 12 big cookies every morning after breakfast. I would then have lunch when I finished the cookies, which was a massive lunch, usually of leftovers from the night before. Then dinner, I would have 3 or 4 servings of everything. I ate enough probably for 5 people, and it shows. When you look at my pictures, you're going to say, yeah, poor thing, she probably did. And I was just unhappy. I was so unhappy. And I thought that food was my friend, my only friend, because I cut myself off from everybody because of my shame. And food was all I had left. And food was the only thing that made me feel better besides the babies. And I really felt I had given up on myself completely, that I would never be able to be successful in any way again. And one day my daughter came to me and she said, Mom, I just feel so sad today. I said, "What's going on, my sweetheart?" And she said, "When I think about the babies not growing up with you, it just breaks my heart." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, if you don't do something about your health, you're not going to be here. They're not going to hear you sing. They're not going to hear the songs you have in your heart that only you have. You're not going to dance with them. They're not going to be able to smile up at you." And it just really broke my heart. It got through to me. It really got through to me in a way that to this day still makes me really emotional. And the thing is, I had been diagnosed with a heart condition that was pretty bad. And they said if I didn't lose weight, that the prognosis was pretty bad. And until that moment, I was not willing to do anything about it. But when she said that to me, and I thought of their precious little smiles looking up at me, expecting me, waiting for me, happy to be with me, they loved me. And it was so pure and so beautiful. And I thought, how could I ever do that to them? And that very day, my life changed. It was August 14th, 2022, and I made the decision that I was going to do whatever I had to do to lose weight again. Just like that. And when I talk to people about losing weight, I always say find your purpose, because that is what will make it work for you. So immediately that same day, I went online and found a support group, and I went to a meeting. I knew nothing about anything about the support groups, but it was a really welcoming place. And I looked at the screen, and there's all these little Zoom boxes in a row. And I guess there was maybe 12 people there, maybe 15. And I'm looking and I'm going, where are the fat people? This is an overeater's place. Like, what the heck? And I'm sitting there massively huge. And I can't find anyone who looks even a bit overweight. And then I hear them talking, and they're saying things like, well, when I was 100 pounds heavier, and they continued talking. When I was 70 pounds heavier, and they continued talking. And I was like, oh, these people have lost weight. And I thought, maybe this is the right place to be. I almost left the meeting thinking I was in the wrong place. But I realized that maybe, just maybe, it was the right place to be. So I left my phone number with a few people, and I got a few calls, and I had the best experience doing things the way that they did them. And I have a lot of things I've added into my own weight loss journey that have worked for me, but that was the core of where I started and how I started. It just came to me: cut out sugar, cut out flour, stop binging, stop picking at things through the day, drink 2 liters of water a day, and you're going to lose weight. It came to me as simply as that. And that, to this day, is what my food plan is. No sugar, no flour, and to not binge or have toxic food behaviors. So a month went by, and I dropped 10 pounds. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I had only weighed myself because when I went to the doctor, he made me get on the scale, and I saw the number and I converted it because it was in kilos. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm actually losing weight. And then the next month, I lost another 20 pounds. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. How is that possible? I actually started to get excited about it. I kept doing what I was doing, and my ex-husband and my son kept saying, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk. My mobility level was so bad that if I walked across the room 10 to 15 feet, I literally would be out of breath so badly, and my heart would be racing, and I'd be like, oh. And when I would hold the little babies as they were young and say, no, I'll bring them up the stairs, everybody would be looking at me going, oh, sure, Easter. But I saw their faces. I knew what they were thinking. And later on, when I talked to everybody, they said, yeah, we were a little concerned for you. But they weren't a little concerned. They were like holding their breath, hoping I wouldn't fall down flat on my butt because something would happen to me and I'd drop the baby. But thank God I didn't. And thank God I was determined. So I went on a 2-block walk, I think in October for the first time. And by the time I went 2 blocks, I had to sit at the bus stop for 10 minutes to catch my breath, to stop panting, and to recalibrate and get the courage to go back home again. And I did. I went back home and I said, oh my goodness, I've been for a walk. I have to do this again. And I did it again and did it every day. And do you know what? By the time 14 months later came, I was able to walk 10 kilometers or more. Do you know how in miles that's about maybe 5.5 miles, I think? And now I can go so much further than that if I need to. I don't because I don't have the time, but walking is such a joy for me. In about November, I started an exercise routine. I had already done things like chair exercises and I would be dancing around, but I started like a real hardcore, for me at the time, exercise routine, and I was determined to get myself trimmer. I had a lot of encouragement from my family, my sister, my kids, my ex-husband, my boyfriend, and everybody was on Team Easter, and that helped a lot. But really, even though they were, in the beginning, I felt very alone. I felt very much like I was not going to ever be able to get out of where I was. But I did. So I want to say to you, if you're in that place right now and you feel there's no way, you're looking at me and saying, well, she looks pretty good. There's no way I could ever do that. Look at her before and after pictures. There's no way. I would not have believed anyone if they told me I could lose 30 pounds, never mind 200 pounds. But I did, and I'm keeping it off. And you can too, whether you've got 20 pounds to lose or 400 pounds to lose. I have many videos that will help you through this journey because I realized my problem with overeating started here. I was eating because I needed comforting. I was emotionally eating because my emotions were a train wreck. Things weren't in order in my life emotionally, and with past trauma and with things that I held on to that I shouldn't have held on to, especially towards myself. How I beat myself up over things that had happened 30, 40 years ago. I had to let those things go. And that's where the healing really began. And once I started healing that, suddenly the voice of food saying, oh, come just have a bit, you'll feel better, wasn't very loud because there wasn't anything I needed to feel better about anymore. I will talk in other videos about how to go through that process effectively, so effectively that I don't carry any of it anymore. And I thank God for this because really without the grace of God, I never could have done it. And I believe that that's been a huge part of my journey as well. And I welcome you to ask questions. I welcome you to leave your feedback. I welcome you to join me this year on your weight loss journey. Leave a comment below and let me know where you're at in your own weight loss journey. And if you're looking to start, come join my channel. We're working on it day after day, and I'd love to help you get to be where you want to be as well. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and come back for more because I'll have more for you very soon.